self-care, saying no to being available 15 hours a week one-on-one. If I can just cut that down to 1 hour or 1.5 hours or 2 hours, whatever it may be, that still allows me more time to take care of what I need to take care of and spend time with who I want to spend time with this summer.
Hi, I'm Kim Tolson and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance-based private therapy practice and a multi-six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Traveling Therapist. I'm here today with Shayla Peterson, and I just love this woman. I'm so excited she's here. I follow her on social media. We took a course together one time. We'll probably talk about that. She's just doing amazing things, and she really is the epitome of a traveling therapist in my mind. So, Shayla, I'd love to turn it over to you and have you tell everybody about your journey from being just your typical therapist to a traveling therapist.
Yes. Oh my goodness. But first, Kim, I have to say that I think I'm just excited about being here, having this conversation with you then, that you are with me as well. But to kind of, yeah. And so to tell you, a little bit about, my journey before I pretty much, I don't know. I think I've always been a travel therapist in the sense that I grew up in California. That's where I got my licensure hours. And then I married into the military and my husband lived in Florida. And so I moved there, became licensed in Florida. I didn't work during that time. I just really took a small break after some social work jobs that I had in California. And it was a nice break. And so when I went to Tennessee, I got licensed there. And we can even talk about that. That was a whole journey. I'd
like to.
Not created equal.
I bet. This is a big, I don't want to stop in the middle of your story, but this is a big topic for people. It's like, gosh, should I get licensed in a bunch of different states? What's that like? So it's an important topic, but back to your story.
Yes, because it'll all come together. So yes, I became licensed in, Tennessee. And so at this point, I'm licensed in 2 different states. Now, I wasn't able to practice at Florida during the time. This is pre-telehealth type thing. This is the era that we're in, right? But I knew I wanted that license because we were going to move back to Florida. So I got Tennessee. We lived there for a couple of years. I worked for a private practice and then also moved into an assistant clinical director role at that time as well.
Wow.
Fast forward, moved to South Carolina. I knew we were moving. I'm a military spouse. Even months before, I went ahead and applied for licensure there. So I can already start looking for jobs that allowed me flexibility. That is really big, being a military spouse and a mother, being able to know that I had more control over my schedule. I didn't just want to get pushed into a job just because I felt like I needed one. So so got licensed in South Carolina. We were there 3.5 years. And during that process, I worked for a group practice providing clinical social work and moved into a clinical position, clinical consultant. When I was doing that, that's when I was like, you know what? I have 3 licenses at this time. And honestly, there was 4. There was Tennessee, there was South Carolina. I ended up getting North Carolina because it was right next door, and Florida. Wow. And that's when I discovered the group where you and I had met and developed a relationship. Yes. Right. So that was
Do you want to talk about Amber Light? Okay, go ahead.
Yep, Amber Light. Yep. So we took her course, the step-by-step on building your online practice. And of course, during that time, that wasn't a big thing. That was kind of unheard of, right? To be virtual therapy, seeing your therapist online. How are we going to be there and support them? And she really gave us those tools on how to do that and the step-by-step of creating your practice the right way and reducing that risk, right? Those things that come up. Absolutely. And so I launched my practice and it grew, right? Serving women, particularly women of color who were dealing with anxiety, depression, life changes, life transitions, and life balance during that time. So it worked out really well. And so that's how I turned into a traveling therapist. And now I'm in upstate New York.
Oh my gosh, I know. Before we hit record on this, I was telling Shayla, I follow her on social media and it's like it seems like you're moving all the time. Like you're saying goodbye to all these people you've met. And it just, gosh, I just wonder what that's been like for you. Just moving so much and almost like having to start a new community in each place, it looks like.
I mean, it's literally that, right? So
Yeah.
every time I move, and what I try to do is get started early. So let's go back to the South Carolina when I was leaving Tennessee. So I knew I wanted to get licensed there. I found a job that seemed like it would offer me the flexibility. And we went down to look for a house ahead of time. What I do was with that employer, I said, can we go out for coffee?
Nice.
Right. And that's what we
Yeah.
did. We met for coffee and we realized, man, this is really good. She was new there too, starting a business, right? Janae Price. And she's the owner of Premier Counseling that provides like counseling to seniors in South Carolina. And so we really just connected, was working with her, and then she was networking. And so if she was networking, so was I. And so what I like to do is get started ahead of time. And so what I've done this time, and it wasn't intentional because we didn't know we were moving to New York, but their friends has been that connection, right? So no matter where I'm at, guess what? I'm checking in once a month virtually with my other therapists who lives in all different states, right? So we have California, we have Washington, Louisiana, there's South Carolina, North Carolina, Delaware, Pittsburgh. So you have all these people, Texas, and we get together and they might be experiencing some of the same things that we all were. I don't know if you guys can relate, but just during the pandemic, now we're not going out networking. We're here at home or from your office, seeing clients virtually. You're not waving all the time. And so that kind of gave us that opportunity to feel a need of that social wellness, right? That we were missing at the beginning of the pandemic.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So before you ran across Amber's site, because I know for me, when I saw it, it was like a magical moment. I was like, wait a second, what? I can do this? So before that, you had always just had to like leave a place and get a job at a new place, basically. So it never it was never an idea for you to like have like a practice you just took with you from state to state to state.
No, so it didn't occur to me at that time that I could have a practice that can keep moving with me as I moved until taking Amber Light. And I was like, this is what I've been looking for my whole life.
That's
and so, and I remember watching, I told her too this, that I believe when she and I did our interview, and I was like, I remember watching, she had like a 90-minute video. I'm sure it doesn't even exist at this time.
Oh, I remember it. Oh my gosh. Yes. That is the video that got me I'm like, I can do this.
Yes. And I was writing down everything. I was like, okay, step 1, step 2, I was like, this is a lot. And then magically, right, then the program came out, we were her third cohort. So the program came out and I was like, I'm in. I don't care what the investment is. It is worth and that was the best investment.
I hear you.
It changed the trajectory of, my life, my practice, how I balance work and life. The fact that I can work from my home office. When my daughter gets off the bus, guess who's there? Me. When she goes in the morning, I don't have to schedule anybody at 8 because at 8 time, that's mommy time. I'm getting her on the bus. I don't have to work the weekends. I don't have to have somebody reject my vacation time. We went away for the holiday. I was able to work that stuff in, or I'm going away coming up, like we were talking about before, to LA, and I get to take her with me.
Isn't it amazing? Oh my gosh. I love it so much. Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, that's so good. Okay. So now that you're licensed in all these states, and also what I'm hearing is you left like the agency jobs or working for these clinical director type positions you have. So now you've got your own practice that you're able to take with you wherever you want. And how are you navigating that? You've got you're licensed in 4 states? Have you maintained all those? I just wonder how all that's working for you.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it's definitely a navigation, where you need a navigation system. I do not tell anybody to go in close eyes about it, because I get a lot of questions about, oh, I need to get licensed in another state, meaning that they can reach, more people. And I always say, take this into consideration. Do you have any connections there? Are you willing to network there? Right. So when people are just getting licensed in other states because they just want to, for me, it was never a want to. We lived in these places or we were moving back.
Yeah. You had to at that point. Yeah.
I had to. And I even at one point had to make a decision. So I did have 4, and I let the Tennessee license go because that was the one that was in Central Standard Time and not Eastern Standard Time. And I know my strengths, and figuring out time zones for clients in simple practice was not one of them.
Oh my gosh, I can relate. I'm like, oh my God, is it 3 or 4 hours? Central and Standard. I mean, it's just, yeah, I hear you.
Right. And I know, because you move around all the different locations. And I said, I cannot do this. This is too much. And so I did 90 days, let my clients know that we're in that state. You know what? This is going to be our last day. But they were moving towards termination anyway. And I did have connects there, but it wasn't to me enough to keep that where I was getting confused and giving them the wrong days and times or whatever. So now I manage the 3, which is Florida, North Carolina, and South Carolina. I literally have a little spreadsheet from when I take courses. Most of my courses cover both of those, especially when you talk about National Association of Social Workers. Those are usually covers all of the states. So usually I'm just taking one course that covers all 3 states. Nice. Exactly. So I do great. That. There's CE broker where I can hold, I know South Carolina and Florida, you can hold your hours in there as well. North Carolina, you cannot. So just keeping a sheet and a track and then knowing when they're due. So I have a whole folder that has every CEU that I have taken. Wow. And then it's also split up by the state. So I'll print out 3 copies of each, right? So that reflects each state. So there's the South Carolina, there's North Carolina, and there's Florida. So if I'm ever audited, those are all right there. I don't have to say, well, wait, was that for what state? What? Nope. It's all right here on paper with the license that I can look. And I know those by heart. That's not too hard to keep up with. I know when they're due. So that is very, helpful as it relates to that.
Oh, so smart. What a great system. Yeah, because I think that would get confusing. It's like trying to keep up with all the CEUs and renewal dates. And then I guess there's like the fees you have to pay each year for each state, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. And most states are every other. So that's, that's good. And then of course, knowing what you can do. I think the tricky part can be, when there's different rules. Can I see my client if they're in this state or not in this state? And the rule I go by, I go with just the most restrictive. If they are not in the state that I am licensed in, I cannot provide you clinical services, period.
Absolutely.
I am your therapist.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was just going to ask you about that. Like, how do you pay attention to the regulations? And I guess for the most part, that's true. If the client's not physically located there, you probably can't see them.
Yep. And that's what I go. And I see that question come up a lot in different groups. And I go, let's not try to figure out how to bend the rules here. Just go with the most restrictive. If they are not in that state, they'll see them. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a good tip. So do you find that marketing is difficult in the different states, or are you already full and you're not too worried about that right now? Like, how do you navigate that whole piece?
What I realized, of course, the state that you live in is probably going to be the most easiest to market in. So majority of my clients come from South Carolina. Why? Because I lived there when I started my practice. That was the address. So that's the one that's on the, website, the one that's on, Psychology Today, all of those things, whether it's a virtual address or you have a physical office. So it was just easier for people to form in that way on top of networks, right? Oh, I know that Shayla provides, therapy for women. She specializes in anxiety. So those words, it gets around, So it was easier for South Carolina, and that's where I get majority of my clients. Florida, I haven't been there in years, so my clientele there is a little smaller, maybe a few word of mouth, but not as much as South Carolina. North Carolina, they're so close. Almost it's in second place in terms of the clientele because I was in Columbia. Charlotte is 75 minutes away.
Okay.
A lot of people go back and forth. A lot of the circles go back and forth. So not too challenging. And so that's what I tell people is like, when you're picking another state, think about your marketing. If you're saying that you're going to attend an event, is that an event that you can attend? Because that is how you can potentially get potential clients, right? Sharing your service, what you do. So you want to be in that state where these people are physically coming to hear you speak or talk. So
absolutely. Yes. Oh my gosh. So do you think you'll keep all 3 licenses, or do you think you'll eventually let some of those go?
As of right now, I'll keep all 3. It's not too challenging, and they're all along the coast, so it works out. I mean, I've considered Georgia because that would really just kind of connect it, right? There'll be Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. But if anybody's on here who's licensed in Georgia, y'all know it's a beast.
Is it?
It is. And that's why I was saying earlier
Oh,
how they're not all created equal,
ah,
So I know people said it took like 6 months just to get licensed with
oh my
Georgia and the
gosh.
requirement. But you remember I'm LCSW, so that part. And
Hmm.
then Tennessee definitely was a long process. Even though I was already licensed and transferring information over,
Wow.
every state wants their own details. And then the part that I ran into, and it became frustrating for myself and another colleague at the time, is that the board only met quarterly.
Oh no. Oh my gosh.
Exactly. So if
And with,
you turn something in, you had to wait
yeah,
until the board meeting, unless you want to advocate for yourself, like myself. But it still took a long time. It took me a real, I was like, what is going on here? Why is it y'all need social workers? You need licensed
yeah.
therapists. There is a need for this service. What is taking so long? And I just made it my mission that I would call daily. They knew me by first name. And so at that point, they didn't wait to the board meeting anymore. Literally, the director there went ahead and signed off on my
Wow.
licensure and emailed me the letter and then put it in the mail that same day. But I had
Yeah.
to advocate for it. So I know it's
Yes.
so different. Once again, this is pre the era that we're in now.
Right.
So it's not like they're getting this influx of people, back then. So, but you really do have to advocate and have patience. Keep all your paperwork in order. It
Mhm.
should be just a tad bit easier as we talk about once you already are licensed and you're getting multiple licensures. But in reality, a lot of the places, they don't honor that. They really want you to start all over.
Oh my gosh. Did you have to take a test again for any of these?
No, now the good
Oh,
thing is
okay.
once you pass the national test, you're good. Now you
Oh,
do
good.
have to of course, provide your transcripts and where you worked and whatever things like sometimes you got to get live scan, background check, all of these different things and
Wow.
their fees and weight. So each state is different. South Carolina for me it was very outlined, smooth, breezy. I remember following up saying, hey, I applied about 45 days ago. I just wanted to check in. And then she was like, ma'am, you're live. And I was like, okay, what does that
Oh.
mean? She was like, no, you're approved. It's in the mail. I already put it in there today. I remember your name. She's like, how can I forget Shayla Peterson? And I was
Oh.
like, oh, okay. And I was literally licensed 6 months before we even moved to South Carolina.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's incredible. Because I guess being a military spouse, sometimes you get notice and you've got to go, right? So if you have to wait for licensure in these states, I guess you have to wait to, even apply for jobs if it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to happen quickly. It
Exactly.
before now, because now you've got your private practice, you can just do whatever you want, go wherever you want, pretty much.
Yes. Like for an example, I am not licensed in New York. I do not provide mental health services to anyone in the state of New York. I operate, control shift balance, and I see my clients in the state that I am licensed in because they are physically in those locations.
I see.
Because we
And
were only
you're,
here a short time. It
I was
wasn't
gonna
worth
say,
it.
yeah, I was gonna say because you're in New York right now. Like this is a recent move, and then you're gonna be moving again pretty shortly, right? Okay.
That is correct. So it made no
Oh my
sense
gosh.
financially to do that, or just even where we're at, it just didn't make sense to add in
Yeah.
another licensure to keep up. And we were only going to be here for like 12 to 18 months. It didn't make sense.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder just if we could just talk about like the moving around process, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting ready to become a digital nomad, and we're packing everything, and we're leaving in 2 days, so we're super excited about it. But I just wonder from somebody like you that's like an experienced mover, and do you have systems? Do you have like how do you do it so quickly, and then just get organized in your new place and feel comfortable in your new place, and then you've got to move again? I just like wonder what's that process like for you?
Look, speaking from someone who gets kind of anxious about the moves, right?
Yeah, I'm anxious now. Like putting
Yeah.
stuff in storage. I'm like, oh, what if I don't have my stuff?
And that does come up. And so usually so let's use the New York move as an example. And I
Hmm.
can go back and use the South Carolina, is that we already have our places before we even get there.
Okay,
So we
right.
knew exactly where we were moving. All right, sight unseen. We saw online, had a conversation. The walls look clean. Let's get there.
Wow,
And so
wow.
that's how it is. And then, you pray, especially with the military, that they just bring your stuff in a timely manner. So
Hmm.
we ended
Oh,
up, the
right.
way we did it and made it like a smooth breeze is I think we left like Christmas Eve or something like that. And we drove down to a friend house who lived in Maryland. So we spent Christmas there. So we wouldn't spend Christmas in an empty house, right? Remember, we have a kid, so it's a little different. So where they have trees and where we would, do our gifts and hang out and have a dinner. And then after New Year, we drove up to New York, and our house, that we were renting was ready. And the first thing, our stuff came like 3 days after that. So I didn't schedule clients during that time. I was on a hiatus. I made sure that I had a break. So that's what helps reduce just some of the anxiousness and the overwhelm. Like, I don't want to navigate figuring out where I'm going to see my clients or have a seat in the house without any furniture or anything. Our stuff came a couple of days later. And the first thing that was put together is this bookshelf. My husband, before he touched any books, anything else in the house, he put this bookshelf together. And after that, the other stuff I can slowly get to, honestly, because we're only here a short time. There's a lot of things that are still in boxes, but long as my office is set up, that's like my man cave, but I'm a woman, you know what I mean? Like, this is my space. That is that. I have my little sound reducer and everything that I need, the computer, the internet. So a lot of it is the pre-planning part. So just getting things set up ahead of time can help reduce the overwhelm on the other end. And same thing as we move to Florida, already looking at homes. So when we leave here, we're driving straight into my home. And I even decided to take the summer off so I can help my daughter adjust. So I won't see individuals. I'll just do individual counseling. I'll just do groups during that time for those who still need the support.
Wow, that's so smart. What a good way to do it. Yes. Okay. So your existing clients, you basically will just say like, hey, I'm going through a transition. I'm not going to have a lot of time available, but we're going to do group once a week for an hour and a half. And that's your support. And you just kind of.
That is exactly it, Kim. That's exactly. And I told them, like, this is my last day that I'll be seeing individuals. We'll be doing group. If you need a one-on-one session, I'm not going to leave you hanging. By all means, say so. Just know that my time is limited. But it's almost like the one-to-many model, right? So one-to-one, that can take up maybe 3 days out of the week, or how many days you work, so many hours. If you do 5 to 6 hours a day. Now what I'm doing is, for the summer when I'm off, so I can be more available and make a smooth transition. Hey, I'm going to be on for an hour and a half once a week. Jump on in. Let's support you while I'm taking care of myself too. Because we can't do anything if we don't take care of ourselves.
That's the first time I've heard. I've done like probably 20 of these interviews. The first time I've heard somebody navigate it like that. Like, that is such a smart way to do it. How do the clients take it? Did they seem like, oh, this is great, I love this? Or like, how does that go when you set it up like that?
So I thought that they would be like, well, no, I just want to see you one-on-one. But they're like, so that's what you're doing? Okay, we're there. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah, they were really excited. Like, I kid you not. Because I was like, okay, so it's January 1st, first week of, seeing clients again. I was like, so I have some news. One is the good faith estimate. Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about, the consent to treatment, the things we do at the top of the year. And then I said, and I have a third thing. And I was like, I want to let you know that you guys know this is a big year. My husband is transitioning out of the Army. We're moving yet again, and I was like, but I don't want to leave you guys hanging if you need the support. Because, so what I want to do is, although I won't be able to see you one-on-one, and it's only 3 months, right? I was like, but I'm going to offer a support group that talks a lot about what we've already discussed. It's going to give you some tools to kind of make it through the summer. And it'll be in the evening too. That might even work better for you, because I typically work during the day. So just to accommodate, folks. So they were like, okay, cool. And so what I'll do is, getting closer to, I'll send out, questionnaire and form of, hey, what do you got? Are you still interested? So I'll know, and I'll know what my numbers is like, because we also, once again, preparing for what's to come. So I'll know already what everything looks like.
Oh my gosh, I love that, because I'm just thinking of the therapist that, wants to go to Montana for 3 months in the summer or something, and it's like, this is a way to like really condense it. Like you said, the one-to-many model. Still be able to see your clients, still have that paycheck coming in, but have a lot more free time to do what you want to do.
Exactly. Right. Allows us to keep serving, but taking care of ourselves. I think that's first. And we forget that because we're such natural helpers. Right. And so for me, that's a self-care, like self-care is saying no to being available 15 hours a week, one-on-one. If I can just cut that down to 1 hour or 1.5 hours or 2 hours, whatever it may be, that still allows me more time to take care of what I need to take care of and spend time with who I want to spend time with this summer.
Yes, I love that. Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm guessing your practice is private pay, right? And not
It
insurance?
is. Yep. So
Okay.
no, I do not accept insurance. And
Okay.
that was day one. If I can help it, I probably will never take insurance. And I am
Yeah.
part of a global EAP company
Okay.
that I take a few, there. And there's another one too that I work with as well. So two, but majority of my clients, they come in via private pay.
Nice.
Yeah.
And do you find like with your EAPs, you're able to transition them into private pays, or do they just stay with that company and then when you're finished, you're done with them?
They typically stay.
They do. Yeah. You're like, yes, they stay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, because I know I'm insurance based,
Uh-huh.
but I'm always curious about this other model, and because my head was spinning like, how can you do the group model if you take insurance? Can you bill for that? Like I was trying to figure that out in my head. So yeah, that's awesome that you're doing that. I think that's so cool. And for
Awesome.
those listening, you could do it with insurance too. You could bill a
Mhm.
90853 and charge, whatever the contracted rate is for the group, and you could still do group psychotherapy that way. So you could still manage it, I think.
Exactly. I think so. Because I want to say some insurance pay for groups, some don't. And then if they do, it's, the rate that it is. So they can still potentially do that. And if you worked in an office before, like where you physically went to the office, because we, did that, along my career, is like most of your clients that you saw for individual did come to those groups. They are the ideal clients for your group because most time groups are developed because of what you see that need is, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just extra support for folks, and they really enjoy that learning from other
Yeah.
people, not just their therapist or just kind of venting. They get to connect with others who are experiencing the same thing.
So true. Yeah. And most of us have a niche. So most of our
Yeah.
clients have the same sort of themes going
Mm-hmm.
on. So I could see how it'd be easy to pull that into a group and give yourself more time to do what you want to do.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
So when you move to Florida, is that going to be like your permanent
it
home
is.
now?
It
Okay,
is. So
nice.
yeah, no more moving around. My husband will be retired. So we get to actually like plant roots for our family and
Nice.
sit there and get situated. So of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, Florida would become my main source of, referrals at that point, just like
Hmm.
South Carolina was. It'll move to Florida because that's where I'll start to do, more networking, meeting other clinicians, even hosting, maybe a TheraFriends luncheon to get
Yes.
with some of my other TheraFriends that I've met along the way and supporting them on their journey to reduce isolation in
Yes.
this era that we're in.
Yes. So speaking of TheraFriends, I want to just transition a little bit because another thing I totally love about you is that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
So you're like me, you've developed sort of other income streams as well. So I'd love it if you could just talk about that part of your journey a little bit. I know you have a journal and then TheraFriends and all of that. So I'd love it if you would share with the audience about that journey for you.
Yeah. So even with the book, what I've learned, even when you're doing multiple streams, and we kind of talked about it a little bit before, is making
Mm-hmm.
sure that they're still kind of all aligned with your ideal client or your values, right? Of who you want to work with and who you want to serve. So if anybody in my practice picked up the Hey Sis book, they're going to feel like they're actually getting Shayla in a session per se, like, oh, this is so
Yes.
something she would say or what she would write about or any of those things. So it matches towards my ideal client, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's for the book or even any courses that I have, they match right along with that. Like I did one on, reducing your overwhelm with using social media, right? A lot
Oh,
of us
wow.
are scared to use, social media with all of those ever changing things. And I go, well, sometimes it can just be the basic things, like just put it out there what you do, share some information.
Yes.
And so there's a whole course about like how to do this effectively. That's right in line with my niche, reducing anxiety. And of course,
Yes.
majority of the people who are coming, they're going to be women. So now that reduces anxiety with women using social media as a way to market. I also have one about crushing your consultation, right? A lot of
Wow.
that, our imposter syndrome shows up and we know this stuff, but we get on that call. And the first thing, we're just like, oh my God, what do I say? And so teaching other clinicians how to have a plan so they can, especially if it's private pay or
Mm.
insurance, letting that client know that
Yeah.
I am the one for you if they are, and setting things up before. I'm all about the prevention before, like what can we do to set ourselves up to
Yes.
reduce the overwhelm? And
Oh,
then
I love that.
also, mhm, And the other thing, of course, like with their friends, is the social wellness piece. I knew that there was a need because I was feeling isolated being there at home, seeing clients. At that time, I don't know if everybody else, it was crazy. We was getting calls all the time. People needed services and we needed to be available. But then that meant that was less time for us and we had to figure out something to do. And so one of the things that I was doing before They Are Friends, hopefully I don't lose y'all when I'm switching over real quick, is that I was already having like their friend chats or coffee chats, right?
Yeah.
So pretty much what was happening, it was on Monday, which was my admin day. It came to a point where I had 5 coffee chats scheduled. And I'm like, now, wait a minute. If I'm having 5, I need to make this a group. Once again, one to many.
Back to the one to many.
Right?
Yeah.
The one to many model, because I enjoyed the conversations. We laughed. It felt just like what we're doing right now, Kim.
Yes.
And so, and develop, I went to a therapist mastermind and pretty much wrote out everything that whole time, that my curriculum, how I was going to pull, my emails, all of that, and literally launched it in, what was that, November 2020. And we started in January of 2021.
Wow.
So,
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So with their friends, so I guess it's sort of like basically like a membership model in a way. And then you guys have coffee dates and meet up and just offer a lot of support. And I'm sure there's tons of other content, like you were saying, that you put into this for people to get.
Yes, about being a leader in your community, self-care, reducing burnout. I mean, but in any membership, that your members, the people who are part of it, they lead you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you're the leader, but they lead
true.
You. They tell us what they really need. And so even when I talk about the social wellness part, because I knew that that was something that was needed, when I realized when we got in there, I was like, well, this part is the social wellness. That's like the underlying thing, like us getting together, connecting, talking. But the other part is like, we're burnt out. We're exhausted. We're not following our own office hours, and so we talk a lot about creating those boundaries and how to take care of yourself so you can be a better clinician, so you can show up, and show out with the stuff that Oh,
I love that. Oh my gosh. That is amazing. And I just want to back up for a second. You talked about that course for social media. You guys join her Instagram. She has the best reels. I love your reels. Like, I look forward to them. They're so great.
Thank you. And when I tell you they're so basic, thank you. I mean, I don't do anything, fancy. I just think about, once again, information that helps our clients and try to put a little funny spin on it of, those kind of things. So it can be fun. It doesn't have to be daunting if that's something that you want to do. But really, at the end of the day, I go, whatever it is that you want to do, just go ahead and do it. Try it out. See how it works.
I tell you, I've made some really ridiculous reels. Yeah. I'm still trying to learn how to do that, but yours are excellent. And we'll put all this information in the show notes too, in case anybody wants to go check this stuff out. The other thing you mentioned was Hey Sis, and would you mind telling them about Hey Sis too? Because I think this is amazing.
Yes. Oh, awesome. Yes. So Hey Sis, that is a journal. And so that journal, how that came about, once again, and this is why I say, when you are aligned with the things that you're doing and connecting with your values and know your ideal client, this is how other products can be produced. And so I was writing letters pretty much at the start of the pandemic, and I literally just named it like Hey Sis. They were called Hey Sis letters. And it was me just writing about different things that were going on, encouragement for, women, whatever was going on. I think it was so much during that year in 2020, And so what I did was just address those in the letters, and I would put them on social media. And then anybody who knows Canva, it just looked like a letter that I literally wrote.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I was just putting those, and those got the most traction on my Instagram feed, and people like those. And a coach I was working with was just like, that's a book, and I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, that's a book. And I was like, really, Dr. TK? And so, during that time, I wrote the book. I put all those letters together. Yeah. And then mysteriously, those letters that people saw are no longer on my Instagram. And I made it a book. And there it is. It's the Hey Sis journal. And it's for any women who are just like working towards, I want to reduce this overwhelming feeling that I have. How do I get a hold of my mental wellness? How can I encourage myself each day and start my day off with the writing? And it's a pretty cover. Look, yes, I like the cover.
It is. I love it.
And it's 40 days. And when I think about just like 40 days, that's such a transformative thing, because I don't know if anybody who, reads the Bible every now and then or regularly, when we talk about being in the wilderness, they were in there for like 40 days, and so I was like, oh, there was a transformation that happened there. And so initially the book was only 31. I was like, oh, it's just going to be a month, like 31. And I got to download a message that came to me while I was getting ready in the morning that said, you need to write 9 more. And I did. And so there it is. You have this 40-day, transformation of you writing and focusing on yourself and self-care and journaling and reflection. And it's changed so many other people's lives. And so, of course, that is available. But if you just want to test it out just a little bit, there's even a free 5-day workshop that I have that people can, just sign up and have access to it, where you get to hear me read it and you get an activity that goes right along with each day for the 5-day Hey Sis workshop. So,
oh my gosh, I got goosebumps when you said that, when you got the download that you need 9 more. And that's just, oh my gosh, I love that so much. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I'll link to all this stuff obviously in the show notes so you guys can have access to that. It's exciting stuff. And please follow her on social media because it's great.
Yeah. I would love to connect with each of you guys. Oh my goodness. I get excited about knowing that there's so many other online therapists who are doing this and living out their life how they want to, right? We talk about work, being one thing and life being another, but we also know those very much cross over. There's the work-life balance. It's just life balance. It's not work life. It's just life balance. Right. Yep. And so when we can find a job that really supports what we enjoy doing and our, it fulfills our needs, and we're excited because we're working at the beach or we're working in the mountains or we're camping, please do it and find a way. Let's do this.
Oh, I love it. It's so possible. That's the one thing I take from all of these episodes I've been recording. It's everybody is making this work because they have a passion they want to follow, and they're just they're doing it now. They're not waiting until they're 80 to start traveling and retire and all that, I just love it so much. So I'm curious, as a military spouse that moves around a lot, do you tend to travel at all, or do you like to just get to your place and just kind of nest and be there, or do you guys still do some traveling in between?
Honestly, we did the most traveling here in New York. Okay. I think we've ever done. Just the Munchkin's just older. It's just easier. And we just jump in the car and go. So literally from being here, we went to, we spent a week in New York City, which was exciting. Yeah. And it's about 5 hours away from where I'm at, which is Fort Drum area. And then we also went to see Niagara Falls, which if you guys have not been, please go. If you doubt anything about the world, that is just going to show you just how powerful water is, how amazing it looks, the creator, whatever it is. It was just such a awesome experience.
I've never been. I want to see that so badly.
Put it on your list when it warms up. Right now, it's just, I'm sure it's beautiful. Not my thing. I hibernate in the winter.
Well, I'm in Florida, right? And it was 39 degrees yesterday in South Florida, if you can believe that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, everyone's freaking out. Everyone probably has on a jacket and I don't know what to do, because we were in Florida for Christmas break and no jacket, tank tops every day at the pool, at the beach, and so, which is why we love it. It's just something. I love the way the air smells. I love the feel, and we can't wait to go back. So we definitely have done a lot of traveling being here. I take the baby to Los Angeles, which is, where I'm from, next month. So that is going to be an awesome experience for her. So now that, we're going to be getting really settled soon, of course, wanting to be able to travel more with her. Yeah. And seeing how this business model works of maybe seeing clients, just for group. That can be something I can incorporate more often, so I can take more trips with my husband now that he's retiring and with the baby getting older, because it's about the experiences. It's about the experience.
Oh my gosh, it is. That's it for me. That's life. That's all it's about. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This has been such a great episode. I just love following you and learning about all the different income streams. I'm obsessed with that stuff. So you're really fun to watch when you pop up with new stuff, and I've enjoyed learning from you too, watching you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you again for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed being able to kind of talk about the business side of business opposed to, the clinical side. There was one more thing that I, could share, would say, as people are moving around from state to state or country to country, whatever it may be, make sure you get you a good CPA. Make sure you get you a good CPA who knows the rules, who knows the laws, who have experience with people who kind of move around and work around in different places with with our therapy type laws, right? So make sure you get you a good CPA. If there's anything that you take from this and ignore the rest, I would say that would be it.
That's such great advice. Yeah, I'm struggling with that right now. Like my CPA, they cannot decide, should I have a business license in Florida? Should I have it in Virginia? Like they don't even know. So it's like this big controversy right now. So we're trying to figure that out. But you're right. Somebody that specializes in this stuff, understands it, knows where you should pay taxes, just outsource that.
Yes, outsource it, delegating that. And that's part of the life balance thing too. It's like, we can't do it all. If this is the life that you're going to do, some of the things are, whatever life is going to be, some of those things we're going to have to give away to someone else to do it. Yes, you can do it, but if you give it to somebody else, that allows you some more time to either spend time with your clients and help them, travel, or spend time with your family. And if it's not your expertise,
absolutely,
let's form that out.
Oh my gosh, I keep hiring new team members the bigger my income streams like spread out, you know, and it's just like, it gives me so much more room to grow, because I'm one of those that was always trying to do it by myself. Figure out, you know, web design and, you know, funnel design and email copy, you know, and it's just, it gets overwhelming. So it's been such a relief for me to be able to just start hiring people to help me. So that's such great advice.
Let it go.
That's right.
Delegate, right?
Yes. Love it.
Love it.
Well, let me know when you get down to Florida, because we'll be down here too. Maybe we can meet up sometime.
Yes. Oh, definitely. We'll be in the greater Tampa area. So
okay, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're in Hollywood right now, and our first digital nomad stop is Panama City Beach, and then we're going to be in Fort Lauderdale for a while, and then we don't know where we're going to be. But
gotcha. Oh, Fort Lauderdale is gorgeous. I forgot I went there this year too, and Tennessee.
Oh, nice.
So I travel. I do get around. I'm like, wait,
that's it.
And it was beautiful. I had never been before, you know, and I was like, oh my goodness, like people are sleeping on Fort Lauderdale. Like, this is the place, beach water. Oh, it was awesome. So yes.
I know the water down here is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I'm going to miss it.
Yes.
But we'll probably end up back down in South Florida eventually, because it's just like you said, the water's like Caribbean blue, you know, it's so clear down here. But anyway, I could just talk about this all day long.
I know, I'm excited.
Keep these episodes short so people can do them in bite-sized chunks.
Totally understandable. But yes, Kim, you and I will get together, you know, in Florida. I think that would be great for us to have a coffee chat in person.
Yes, they're friends.
They're friends, exactly. But thank you for the opportunity to share my story and chat business, the other side of it.
Thank you so, so much. I think this is going to inspire a lot of people. So I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you love this episode, please leave a review.